There's been a lot of excitement surrounding Valve's development of Dota 2, but unless you're familiar with Dota's origins, it can be hard to understand why people are excited. Dota 2 is the sequel to Defense of the Ancients, or DotA, a community-made and maintained mod for Warcraft III with millions of active players. Dota is in many respects its own genre of game. Two teams of 5 players face off against each other on a large and complex map. The map is divided into 3 lanes, one along the top, one across the bottom, and one that runs right down the middle. Each of these lanes has a series of protective turrets that deal high damage to enemy players silly enough to wander into their range, with turret loyalties split down the center of the map, making them useful shelter for allies. This is where things start to get a little more complicated. At regular intervals, waves of monsters called creeps spawn at each base and travel down the lanes, where the 2 opposing waves meet in the middle. Players who get a killing blow, or last hit on an enemy creep, are rewarded with golden experience. Players can also last hit their own creeps to deny some golden experience from their opponents. Thus, the early phase of a game of Dota is a tug of war, where each team tries to outfarm the other. If someone is skillful enough to kill an enemy player, they're rewarded with a much larger chunk of gold and experience, and the killed player is penalized, both by losing some gold and by being unable to fight or farm until they respawn back at their base. Knowing your role in a team is key, because the latter parts of a Dota match always develop into a series of team fights, where whoever comes out on top wins the opportunity to push a lane unhindered. Eventually, one team will push into another's base, where destroying key structures makes the pushing team's creeps stronger. If they keep pushing, they'll eventually reach the central structure, often referred to as a throne. If this is destroyed, then one team wins and the other loses. Dota 2 isn't changing this formula much, if at all. Most of the improvements will take the form of training and tutorials to help new players learn the ropes. You'll be able to play it for yourself later this year. For a whole lot more on Dota 2, head to IGN.com.